Yo, what is good, YouTube, and welcome back to another JC2K video. In today's video, we're going to be doing episode number 4 of I Build Your Teams, the series where I build my viewers' teams into the best teams possible for competitive play, and or just my team unlimited, based on how much MT they have, as well as how they like to play the game. Before we hop into it, if you haven't, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help me push towards the 2,500 subscriber mark on the channel. And also, if you want to be featured in a future episode of this series, make sure you follow me on Twitter. My link is down in the description below. And be on the lookout for a tweet about this series on Friday nights. And put your team in response to that tweet for a chance to be included in a future episode of this video. But yeah, without further ado, let's hop right into it. Get right to building some teams. First team today comes in from Danny. He says he's got about 400k and he's open to suggestions. My thing with 400k, Fred VanVleet and Kyrie is a solid point guard duo. I mean, you don't, looking at this squad, I don't think anything stands out to me as something that is a necessity to get replaced, but there are some spots that I might look to potentially replace that I think may be a little bit of a weak spot. Your small forward position is definitely one of those positions, I think. I would probably look to, you're level 32, so you're probably not getting Carmelo. So I think your center position is fine. I think your small forward position, your power forward position is fine. I think your point guard position is fine, even though you could change some stuff at your point guard position if you wanted to. And then shooting guard position, I would pick whichever two out of these three, Mitch, ML, and Harden, whichever two you prefer, put them at the shooting guard position. Then at the small forward position, I would go in the direction of looking to spend most of your MT on this position. And the way that I would probably go about doing that would probably be to go get a guy like LeBron James and a guy like Kawhi Leonard. You get a guy like LeBron to start at the small forward, Kawhi to bring off the bench. You have two locks playing the small forward position who are also incredible catch and shoot shooters with really good releases. And I think that just easily, very quickly makes your team look even better, significantly better. I think those are two of the best cards in the game in terms of their ability to play the three in LeBron and Kawhi. And I think that would be a very significant upgrade that you could make very quickly. After that, I mean, you could look to potentially sell a guy like Fred VanVleet and try to get a Derrick Rose or even Isaiah Thomas type of guy at the point guard position. But besides the small forward position, I don't think there's really anything that you need to upgrade on this team. Next team today comes in from Tyson. He's on next gen. Nobody spent with 600k is enough for a pink diamond token reward as well. So same point guards as the last team, Fred and Kyrie, which is super solid. James Harden, Jarrell Griffith, Scotty, Darius Miles, Josh Smith, Draymond, Bob Pettit, and Ibaka. With 600k, I'm assuming you probably want to save most of that MT, or not even most, just a lot of that MT, so that you still have MT going forward. But also the fact that you've already made 600k, nobody spent, and you have this squad is very, very solid as well. So I would probably say the first thing you could look to do would be, again, to pick up a guy like Kawhi Leonard. I like the Darius Miles card, but I prefer a guy like Kawhi Leonard who you could start at the 3. You could bring Pippen off the bench, then you have a lock in your starting lineup and off your bench in Kawhi and Pippen. You can sell Darius Miles, make a little bit of MT back from him. And then probably look to upgrade your center position, because I think Pettit is okay to come off the bench. I think Ibaka, I'm not that high on this Ibaka card anymore. So for me personally, I'd probably look to pick up a center, whether that means Anthony Davis, because he's really expensive, maybe not. That might mean a guy like Dikembe Mutombo, who's probably going to be a cheaper-ish option. That's probably the direction that I would head with this team, would be picking up a center like Dikembe Mutombo, and then a 3 to play instead of Darius Miles, like a guy like Kawhi Leonard. I think if you make those couple upgrades, you're still going to save the majority of your MT, and your team is going to be looking significantly better just with those couple of upgrades. And that's because partially Dikembe is just one of the best cards in the game. He's so good. You add him to your squad, you're automatically going to see improvements. Next team today comes in from my guy Evan. He's got 1.1 mil MT, trying to make a team to compete in quals. I'm jealous. I wish I had 1.1 mil. I really like this Jamal Murray card, especially on next gen. I know you play on next gen, so I definitely like him. With 1.1 mil though, we're going to put Jamal Murray off the bench still, and we're going to pick up a guy like Isaiah Thomas. I think IT is the way to go. He's the best point guard in the game. Definitely would pick up Isaiah Thomas to replace Kyrie, unless you love Kyrie, in which case you could put him in off the bench instead of Jamal Murray. But I like the fact that Jamal can dunk the ball, which is something that Kyrie doesn't have, and he's a bigger guy. So for that reason, I would probably start IT and then bring Jamal off the bench. At the 2, Donovan Mitchell is fine. But he's fine. That's the thing. I think for me, my playstyle personally, Donovan Mitchell he isn't the card for me. If you love Donovan Mitchell, if he works with you, even next to a guy like Isaiah Thomas, because both of them are like 6'1", then go for it. If not, then you can always look in other directions. And a guy like Kobe Bryant is who I really recommend. Harden is fine off the bench at the shooting guard position. ML Carr is fine at small forward. Honestly, your bench is fine. But I would definitely potentially consider replacing Donovan with a guy like Kobe, because I feel like Kobe can also create, maybe not quite as well as Donovan, but he's a much bigger guy and an elite defender as well. Plus his jump shot's like one of the best jumpers in the game. And then at the small forward position, you can go after a guy like I don't know if you're going for Carmelo. If you're going for Carmelo, you can plug him in at that small forward position. If you're not going for Carmelo, again, I'm going to recommend Kawhi Leonard. I think Kawhi is super elite. Definitely worth picking up for a ton of people for their squads, and I probably would go in that direction instead of Mitch Richmond. That's just the way I look at it, is I think because if you add some size and some defense to your starting lineup, plus you pick up that Isaiah Thomas card, you're going to have a elite level starting lineup and a super solid bench as well. You could even go after a guy like Anthony Davis. You have enough MT where you could get him and bring Mutombo off the bench, or bring Wilt off the bench and sell Mutombo, but I don't think you need to do that, honestly. I just think that if you add a little bit more size and defense to your starting lineup, plus get the best point guard in the game in IT, your team's going to be elite. You're going to have a really nice team set up for quals. Fourth team today comes in from my guy Selin. He's 3 hunts. He needs a popper that can play good defense to start with Zeke. He's willing to spend about 120k. Well, I'm going to say this. Fred and IT is a great point guard duo. Kawhi is great. ML Dale Ellis, that's super solid. Glenn and Gus, super solid. Wilt is great. Ibaka, I don't like Ibaka. Donovan Mitchell, I would sell because he's in your last 3. Gobert, I would sell. And honestly, Darius Miles, I would sell. I'd probably replace Darius Miles with a guy like Scottie Pippen, in all honesty, because Scottie can shoot the ball and he's an elite defender. Or you could go in a different direction. And you can hold on to Scott. I mean, you can hold on to Darius Miles. I'm not going to say you can't play him. Now, what I'm going to say is, with this team, if you want to start Isaiah Thomas and you want a popper next to him, start Josh Smith. That is the best option that you have for a popper for 120k or less, and you already have him on your team. If you start Josh Smith at center, you might get out rebounded a little bit, you might get mashed a little bit, but I don't think you get mashed quite as bad as people think with Josh Smith, because he has Hall of Fame pogo stick, which is one of the most important, if not the most important, interior defensive badge in the game right now. I think he's significantly better than Ibaka at the center position as well. Then, the other thing I will say, if you don't want to play Josh Smith at center, then you are forced, basically, you have to go out and get Mutombo, because you're not going to have the MT for AD. You're not going to have the MT for Mutombo right now. But if you sell all these last 3 guys and you're smart with your MT, then you can suddenly put yourself in a position where you have a very good chance to get Mutombo. And at that point, that's the direction that I would go. And if you don't want to play Josh Smith at center, you have to figure out a way to get Mutombo on this team to play the center position with Isaiah Thomas. You could start the 2 of them as point guard and center, bring Fred VanVleet and Wilt off the bench, and at that point you're fine, because your 2 through 4 is super solid. I'm not the biggest fan in the world of Darius Miles, but he will get the job done. He's got decent speed, he can dunk, he can play some defense, and he's got a good jumper. So I don't have an issue with that card. He's a cone. I would love to have a lock on this spot instead of a cone, but I don't think he's a bad option, and I don't think he's going to hurt your team running him. So that's kind of the question. Are you cool with running a guy like Josh Smith at the center position with IT, or do you need to basically figure out a way to make more MT and pick up a guy like Isaiah, like Dikembe Mutombo? So that's kind of a question that you have to answer for yourself, but those are really your options, I think, for figuring out a way to get a popper for your squad. Next team today comes in from Cholo. He's on current gen, and he has 34k MT. Kyrie and Ron Boone is a super solid point guard duo. I like it. Gary Harris and a holo Terrence Ross. That's actually kind of cool. This holo Terrence Ross is really, really cool looking. I like it. Tripucka and Scottie Pippen, Ibaka, Jay Crowder, Rick Smits, Vin Baker, Marcus Johnson, ML Wendell Carter Jr. Okay, so I'm assuming this is kind of the 10-man that you're looking at, and then these 3 guys at the end of the bench aren't really playing for you. So for me personally, I'd probably sell this Wendell Carter Jr. card just so you can make some more MT. And then honestly, I'd sell Rick Smits as well and slide Ibaka to the 5, just to maximize MT by selling those 2 cards. Next, honestly, I know he's a holo. Terrence Ross is cool, but this ML card is better than Terrence Ross, and he's free. So you can plug ML. Honestly, I'd put ML as your starting shooting guard. He's the best shooting guard you have on your team. And then Gary Harris comes off the bench to the shooting guard position. You sell this Terrence Ross, and you're going to get a bunch of MT for him because he's a holo card as well. You're going to get a lot more MT than he's typically selling for. So sell those 3 cards: T. Ross, Rick Smits, Wendell Carter Jr. Put Carr at the starting 2, Gary Harris at the backup 2, and your 1 and your 2 are super, super solid. Scottie Pippen, I like a lot. Tripucka, he does the job. I'm not going to say you got to replace him or either of them, honestly, at the small forward position. I think you're solid. So your 1 through 3 is good. At the 4, you have Jay Crowder off the bench. I'm cool with that. We need to upgrade the starting 4 at some point, but I like Jay Crowder coming off the bench. And then you have at the 5, you'd have Ibaka, and then you need a backup center because this Vin Baker card is pretty dirt. He's not good, in all honesty. So basically, after selling Rick Smits, Wendell Carter Jr., Terrence Ross, holo, I assume you'll have over 50,000 MT would be my guess. And at that point, you need a power forward and a center in the 50k range. And the way that I'd probably go about doing that would be, it's tough. I mean, for that price range, you're looking at the budget cards, and I feel like Jay Crowder is one of the best budget power forwards. And I'm thinking like is Darius Miles a good option potentially? I'm struggling to figure out what I would do. At the center position, probably starting center, I would pick up Josh Smith, I'll say that, and then bring Ibaka off the bench at center, so that would fix your center position. And then you got to kind of figure out what you want to do with the power forward position. And I think probably a temporary stopgap is a guy like Darius Miles. I think sliding him in there would be a good option at the power forward position. He's got enough size and enough defense to be very solid at that position, and then you can basically try to just make some more MT, save your MT, and work your way back up to being able to make bigger upgrades for your squad. Second to last team today comes in from Christopher. He's got 104k MT, open to suggestions, but he's looking for a new backup point guard. And I agree, Devontae Graham, card's not that good in my opinion. I definitely think he is worth looking to upgrade upon. And you got Fred VanVleet, super solid. James Harden, great card, or really good, really solid shooting guard. Same thing with Gary Harris. Kawhi is awesome, obviously. Glenn Robinson is good. Serge Ibaka is fine. Blake and Kat are also decent. Darius Miles is fine. Backup point guard, 104k. Yeah, so honestly, I think you need to save for Kyrie Irving. I think he's your best option, because you could pick up a guy like Stephon Marbury, but I feel like your MT would be better suited other places. Work on grinding some triple threat online or offline. Honestly, no, triple threat online, not offline. But grind some triple threat online, grind some draft mode, things like that will get you a lot of tokens, and you'll be able to get Kyrie very quickly within the next couple of days. You can plug him in at that backup point guard position, and then you can focus on other positions on your team. You need a new power forward, you need a new center at some point. And the way that I'm obviously going to go about recommending that is a guy like Josh Smith at the center position. And then at the power forward position, it kind of gets tough because you don't have Gus Gerard. Darius Miles, I probably would honestly move to the 4, and then you can look to pick up a guy like Scotty. I'm tripping. Dennis Rodman is the upgrade. And Dennis Rodman is the upgrade for Cholo as well. Rodman at the 4, Josh Smith at the 5, and then Jay Crowder and Serge Ibaka off the bench. I completely forgot about Rodman. Rodman is the upgrade for you at the power forward position. You can either start him or bring him off the bench and then play him and Glenn as your 4s, and then Josh Smith and Ibaka as your 5s. Those are the 2 upgrades I think to make, and then save your MT at this point because you're going to want to make some bigger upgrades and get a couple of slightly bigger pieces on your squad. So yeah, definitely focus on trying to get Kyrie and then Rodman and Josh Smith, and those are really nice upgrades for this team. Last team for this video comes in from Nardog. He has 250k. Kyrie and Horford will be replaced by Kuzi and Pettit somewhat soon. And for me personally, I don't think it's actually all that important to replace Kyrie with Kuzi. I think they're basically on the same level. It's really a preference thing in terms of Kuzi versus Kyrie. So I'm not too concerned about that. If you want to do that switch, that's fine. Otherwise, your point guards are fine the way they are. Pettit is a definite upgrade over Horford. I'm not going to disagree with that at all. That Horford card is just not that good. And I think Pettit is definitely a significant upgrade over him. At the same time, I'm still going to recommend I'll say this: Mitch Richmond, James Harden, super fine. Glenn Robinson, Kawhi, also super fine. Draymond and Josh Smith. So your 2s, your 3s, and your 4s are good. Your point guard position is good. Your center position is the one that needs the most upgrades. Even with Bob Pettit, I would pick one of Ibaka and Pettit, bring them off the bench, and then buy a guy like Dikembe Mutombo to start for you. I think Dikembe Mutombo is worth the MT you're going to spend on him. He is a game-changing type card in 2K, and you're not going to have enough for a guy like Anthony Davis at this point. You could also save your MT for another week and not make any changes, and then see if a guy like Anthony Davis drops in price and becomes cheaper, and he can be more attainable for your team. But for right now, I like the way that you've built your team with a lot of free reward cards and stuff like that. And I definitely think the next upgrade for you is going to be picking up a center, whether that means picking up Dikembe now or holding your waiting a little bit, seeing if Anthony Davis or another elite budget center drops in price or drops in the next week or so. And those kind of the upgrades that you could be looking to make. But otherwise, I really like this team. I think it's got a great basis in free cards, and I like the way that you're not spending your MT too much right now. But that is going to do it for this video. If you did enjoy, if I was able to help you out potentially, make sure you hit that like button and leave a comment. Also, if I wasn't able to get to your team this week, make sure you follow me on Twitter. Drop your team under next week's post for a chance to be included in that video. And you can also leave a comment if you want about leaving your team, and I'll try to respond to the comment as well and let you know what I would do with your team if I didn't get to it this week as well. But that is going to do it for this video. Like I said, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe, and I'll be back with more 2K content very, very soon. I appreciate y'all. Peace.